Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LFC transfer room. Less than 2 hours to go now until transfer deadline passes for the January window 2022. Welcome to everybody who is here, and I'm joined today by Drew, Owen, and James, who will be on very shortly. Lots to catch up on in this show, of course, followed closely by Jack closing out the final hour of the transfer window, so make sure you stay tuned for that as well. However, I think what's on everyone's minds at the minute is Fabio Carvalho. Will he or will he not sign? We had a quick little talk about it before we went live, and I didn't realise I was in a stream with such pessimists. A couple of people don't think it's going to happen. At the moment, from what we understand at the LFC transfer room, with our inside sources, that it's common knowledge really. Liverpool have bid £5 million plus £2 million in add-ons for Carvalho. He has a 6-month contract left, which means he would be technically a free agent in the summer. But due to some of the rules, we would have to pay some sort of compensation to Fulham. So Liverpool keen to get over the line at the minute to stave off interest from the likes of Borussia Dortmund particularly. But let's just talk about Carvalho himself. Drew, does this happen today?
No, I don't see it happening. I think Fulham are just dragging their heels and don't want to play ball with Liverpool. They want more money, and Liverpool kind of has that. You don't have much time to go, and I feel like it's just two businesses just sinking their heels and not wanting to cave into the other's demands.
But there's people are saying that Carvalho's on his way to Liverpool as we speak to get a medical in. Surely that's some sort of a good sign, Owen.
Who's saying it though?
James Pearce.
Is he? Well, okay. I didn't know that.
Okay. Wait, let me check. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I'm sure that's what it was.
Yeah, it's quite important. But yeah, I think it's going to be a race against time. There's no question about that. Whether it's going to be kind of minutes in it, who knows? But the fact that Liverpool kind of pursuing it so late on shows that there is that kind of really kind of, how do I put it, determination and admiration for the player himself, because we wouldn't be doing this if we were kind of unsure or not 100%. So it shows that we want to get this deal done and get him in now.
Welcome, James, as well. Yeah, it was James.
What a man, mate. What a man.
Whether you trust that or not is up to you. Fabrizio Romano as well, the tap-in merchant, is saying things, and I've just instantly ruled myself out from ever interviewing the guy, so that's great.
James Pearce has said that Fulham are interested in taking Nico Williams on loan.
Yeah,
in the hope of getting the Fabio Carvalho deal done. So I think it might be we give you this, you give us this type of opportunity more than I think Fulham want something more, and we might just throw them Nico Williams for the rest of the season as a way to sort of placate them, because they're not going to get the money that they should be getting for a talent like this because they let his contract go down. And it's their own fault. But they're going to try and make as much of it as they can.
Do you think it happens today?
Yeah, it's getting tight, isn't it? Do you know what? Seeing as Jack's going to be there doing his best Jim White suited and booted, it better bloody happen.
It's
especially
Jim White.
In the last hour when it's all Jack.
Well, there's lots of people in the comments. We've got lots of things other than Carvalho as well, but obviously that's what everyone's here for, of course. Hello, Hyla. Hello, Kris. You're our hero as well, mate. You've been working tirelessly over the last few days covering everything, and not just on this channel as well, over on Anfield Agenda. Tar as well. Switching between streams is hard. Yeah, everyone's online at the minute, I'm pretty sure.
Jack doesn't know who Jim White is.
Who?
How does he not know who Jim White is?
Oh.
Come on.
It's all right. It's Jim White. Over on Slow Sports News.
Mr. Transfer Deadline Day.
Breaking news. First up, Nat Phillips has just gone to Bournemouth. No one else has this news yet. Unbelievable. Come on,
He
Jack.
gets
I know you
text
call
from
it soccer.
Mashiri.
Yeah, he's got everyone's phone number, this guy. Well, he calls it soccer and he doesn't know who Jim White is. Come on, Jack. Get your act together, son. So just slightly straying away from Carvalho for a little bit, with a few outgoings or potential not outgoings anymore. A lot of people were convinced that Minamino or Origi were probably going to leave. However, it's now looking like nobody is going to leave. What do we think about that? So we've signed another forward and we're keeping our original backups, Minamino and Origi. Drew, is that wise? Should we cash in on them now?
I just don't see it from the player point of view. I can kind of see it from Minamino wanting to stick it out, maybe having 6 months to get his last chance at cementing some sort of role in the team. But Divock, it just seems like I don't know what he's going for. I don't see him as a first team player, starting in any fashion other than in cup games. So, and then being like that lucky throw of the dice off the bench. It doesn't even seem like he fits into anything, really. It's just kind of like, oh, he's our lucky pair of dice. Let's blow on him, throw him out on the field, and see if he can come up with a goal. So I don't know. Like maybe he's okay with running out his contract and then going somewhere else. But if he has the opportunity to move, I remember reading that Atalanta was interested, but maybe he's just comfortable chilling for 6 months.
Well, there was a lot of reported interest, at least from Newcastle, especially before they signed Chris Wood from Burnley. I'm just wondering, Owen, maybe you feel like they missed a trick going for Chris Wood over Origi? I mean, surely he would have been cheaper at least.
They're both kind of similar players, aren't they? It's kind of like, if you're going back to Minamino, it's like, I heard Leeds were interested, but we wanted 20 mil for him. It's like, where are we getting that price from? Like, how can we justify wanting 20 mil for Minamino? He's done virtually nothing since he's arrived, really. He's probably even gotten worse. His value has probably gone down, if we're being totally honest. But I did expect one of them to leave, because we're bringing in Luis Diaz, maybe even Fabio Carvalho. It's why do we need all these forwards now? We've kind of got past the hard period in AFCON, so I don't see why we still need those players. But I guess one of them, or potentially both, will leave in the summer now.
Yeah, I mean, on asking 20 mil for Minamino, Anthony makes a great point. We did get 20 for Solanke and Brewster. Jordan Ibe as well. What was that, 15 million or something? Was it Brad Smith? Did we get we went to get like
Brad
5
Smith,
mil?
Yeah, he went
for him or something.
Was it 12? I thought it was up there.
Or was it 12? I can't remember.
8.
Something. It was something crazy considering
everyone's got a different number.
Considering no one remembers him anymore as well. It's ludicrous. James, coming to you with the same question about Origi. I don't know. I feel like with the kind of club Newcastle want to be, with some of their signings that have come in, that really promising attacking midfielder they just bought as well, just seems strange they went for Chris Wood for 20, 30 million rather than Divock Origi, who they could have had for 15, I think we were willing to accept.
Yeah, but you've got to remember, when was the last time Divock Origi played 38 Premier League games? Whereas Chris Wood does it year in, year out and doesn't break down. So if you're in a relegation battle and you need to rely on somebody, Chris Wood probably makes more sense from we can't afford to go to number 2, number 3 because number 1 currently isn't good enough. If it was cup, like if it was a knockout round or anything like that, let's say that your relegation had a playoff and teams went down, then you probably want Divock Origi because he's a man for the big occasion, but he's not the man that you call on week in, week out to give you, a 10K run every game, because it's not him.
A few people in the comments, great to see you all getting involved. I know you're all keen to get updates. A few people asking about, where did the comments go? I've lost them. I've lost track of it.
It's just Chris complimenting your haircut, man. Just
I know. I'm trying to avoid it.
I'm
I'm not that vain. I'm trying to avoid putting it up on the screen to gas myself up. Right, I need to find out where Brad Smith's gone as well, because Megan's just called him an MLS star.
He's
I need
currently
to
playing
find
for
this out.
DC United.
DC United, bloody
Yeah.
hell. Unbelievable. So with Minamino getting back on track, initially a lot of interest reportedly again from Leeds United. However, that's not happening as far as we know. And also reports have come out, leaks, whatever you want to call them, that Minamino actually wants to stay. I'm happy to hear this because I just love the guy. But Owen, can he get into the starting 11? Is he here for the cups? Is he just here because he feels that we can win trophies and add a medal to his wall? What's in it for him?
Trophies. I think we've seen over the past month that Minamino isn't going to be here for the long term. We got rid of Salah and Mane for AFCON while they left, and he couldn't even get in the team then. So when is he going to get in the team now? Luis Diaz coming in, more attacking players. He's just not going to get a look in. I think if it was a Chelsea, Man City, Man United, he would have been gone a year ago. If we're being completely honest, it's like he just hasn't done anything. And when you come to a club as big as Liverpool in the stature and size, you've got to hit the ground running, really. You do. That's the harsh reality. And he hasn't done that at all. And in contrast, we've seen Diogo Jota, and he's done the exact opposite to what Minamino has. And he's hit the ground running and he's scoring goals. And I think if you're good enough, then you kind of show your quality in a team. And he kind of stands out as kind of not showing that quality. So, yeah, I think the better Minamino goes, I think the better for all parties.
Louis, the LFC transfer room in the know, Kris, because he got the Nat Phillips one earlier, is saying that he's hearing Carvalho is done.
Oh, could be breaking news on Slow Sports News.
You know,
Transfer Central exclusive. My sources are telling me. My sources are telling me Carvalho.
He got the last one. I'll give him. He got the last one, and I think he's wanting to become the newest in the know.
Yeah, and everyone chasing his sources. A real journalist never reveals his sources, sticking to his guns there as he should. Well, all we can do is wait and see. With less than an hour and 45 minutes to go, it's just a short rom-com away in length now. Again, focus not on outgoings necessarily, but with Nat Phillips completing his move to Bournemouth on a loan until the end of the season, which I'm sure we're all gutted about. Klopp is content for Reece Williams, who's come back from loan, to be our fifth choice centre back for the rest of this season. Is that a long term thing, James? Does that go beyond the end of this season?
End of the season, we've had 4 healthy centre backs all year. Probably won't need to touch into number 5. In the summer, Stepp van der Berg comes back. He's been playing centre back and right back. Could he be fifth choice centre back and Trent Alexander-Arnold back up next season? Don't know. He's been playing for Preston. Probably need to have a look at him pre-season, but it seems sensible to have someone there. And you've got Fabinho as probably a fifth choice. He'd probably still come in before Phillips at this rate. Or Reece Williams, sorry. So, yeah, I think we're all well stocked at the back, and I think, he'll have a look in the summer, he'll have a look at Bradley again, he'll have a look at Sepp van der Berg and make his decision on, who the fifth choice centre-back's going to be, but I think it's probably between Sepp van der Berg and Reece Williams, and van der Berg's got a bit more pace and a bit more versatility, so that would tend to lean itself more towards the utility player, in my opinion, but you never know with Klopp, do you?
No. Darmesh is asking the question that we started the stream on, but I'm obviously keen to get back to it because it's on everyone's lips. Do you think Carvalho will get done tonight? Bearing in mind we've had Chris's sources revealing it. He's putting his neck out on the line, revealing, putting this story out there, Kris. Drew, do you have any faith in Chris's sources whatsoever? Does that change your mind slightly?
I have faith in Kris, but I don't know his sources, so I'm not going to put my faith in his unnamed sources. I still think we're pushing it too close to the deadline, and the clubs have dragged their heels too much. The Nico Williams kind of make weight is an interesting angle on the transfer, but I'm going to go with no, I don't think so, and just be pleasantly surprised and happy that I'm wrong if it does go through.
And Owen, You gotta be trusting the main man, Kris.
Yeah, of course. My opinion's changed now. When Kris speaks, we listen. You know what I mean?
We listen.
Exactly. So now, I'm 100% sure now. It's happening. We're signing him tonight. I'm going to stay up, whether it's 1 o'clock, school night. I don't care. We're signing him Fabio Carvalho from Fulham. It's happening.
There's always
travel.
that. I've always heard about there's like that pre-contract you can sign on a deadline day where it then gives you like another hour to do it.
Yeah.
Am I correct in thinking that? Does that happen? Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see.
I've seen that apparently you can go on to 1 o'clock. You can like file a document to the Premier League.
Well, it's a good job Jack is in America because I won't be staying up that long. Bloody hell.
I think it was if he's signed like he's done the medical yet or started the medical. Because if he started the medical, regardless of if they're still negotiating stuff, which can happen on deadline day, then maybe it's more likely to happen than not, and it's just a fee back and forth that could delay it. But they're getting everything in place for him to do it.
Yeah, I mean, so the ultimate, well, not problem, but the fiasco with Carvalho is obviously he's got a 6-month contract left. We are trying to buy him. 90% of reports saying that we're going to loan him back for the rest of the season. And that's kind of what would convince Fulham to sell him to us now. Because otherwise, in the summer, we would have to pay some sort of tribunal fee. And I'm not going to pretend I know exactly how that works. But it would make it a lot more difficult to buy him in the summer because clubs like Dortmund and foreign clubs in general, from what I understand, wouldn't have to pay a tribunal. So they could pick him up completely on a free. So it's interesting why they're trying to be so stingy at the moment, James, isn't it? Are they really just waiting until the very last second to try and force Liverpool's hand to give them just an extra million or two?
Think of it this way, and I said this on the stream earlier. Let's say it's Harvey Elliott and he's playing for Liverpool and he's got 6 months left on his contract. And we're about to lose what we all believe to be the talent, the talent for the future of our club. For Fulham, that's Carvalho. And they're talking about losing their biggest talent for £5 million. I couldn't take it. As a Liverpool fan, I'd be fuming. Losing, what is in essence the biggest asset to come out of my club. Even if we're top of the league and stuff like that, you would be like, no. So Fulham fans will want to be placated some way to feel like they haven't just been taken advantage of by Liverpool, which is why people are putting out the false narrative, of Liverpool and Fulham are in disagreement and stuff. No, we've got a good relationship with Fulham, but it doesn't feel right that one of the brightest prospects in football can be sold for £5 million. Doesn't feel right.
They can also come in too and kind of gamble and see if they get promotion, if they can convince them to stay and sign a new contract. Like they might be happy with that situation, saying if we can get promotion and make them an attractive offer and say, hey, give us 1 year in the Prem at least, you'll still get your move regardless. That can also be, a route that they're willing to gamble on.
Hyler's just commented saying, pretty sure now that Liverpool will activate Origi's 1 year option in the summer, else they are risking getting nothing for him. There have been several clubs interested in Origi this window, but no deal. So this is pure conjecture because I don't think there's been any confirmed bids necessarily. But amongst the four of us, do we think it's a case of Liverpool have actually potentially rejected offers and want to keep him for the rest of this season, or do we think that maybe for some reason clubs just aren't biting at the moment? Owen?
Yeah, I just think that with him out of the contract in the summer, teams just aren't kind of seeing the kind of, how do I put it, seeing the attractiveness in the deal. It's what do they get out of it? It's kind of like he's not playing regular football. He's got his injury problems. It's just I just don't see how a team would look at it unless it was unbelievably cheap. Would go, oh yeah, let's go and get him now for kind of 15 mil plus.
And Drew, what's your take on this? Do you think clubs have bid, or has someone missed the trick here? Maybe.
I don't know. I think I'm leaning towards what James and Owen said about his consistency and his availability. It just doesn't make sense for like a January transfer window purchase, especially if Liverpool are holding for a reasonable offer, which they almost always do. So maybe the 1 year sign or activating the clause, keep them for another year and get a healthier bid in the summer. But any team that's really looking for a striker to come in now and do the business, are they willing to pay top dollar for Divock Origi? It just, maybe it's a bit of gamesmanship from Liverpool trying to attract some interest for him, but just doesn't seem likely.
I'm sure someone said that Origi's contract extension is connected to him playing X amount of games. Now he's played 2 games and 41 minutes.
All right, yeah.
So
unless his contract was if he plays 2 games, he gets a contract extension.
Yeah, I'm sure it's connected to that. So if that is the case, do you derail our title bid just to extend Origi's contract because you want him to play a few games? Not a chance in hell. I don't know if maybe that's why Taki's played the League Cup so much. I don't see Origi in much of the training photos and stuff like that coming out from Liverpool. I don't know if he's down tools. Not in a public way, not in a public fallout way, but he's made his decision and therefore Klopp's made his decision. You will train, you will be part of it, but we will not be promoting you as this if you're saying you're going to leave in the summer. Something just doesn't smell right. And I might be way off, but it just doesn't smell right. No,
that's an interesting take. And, as soon as you said that, I kind of thought, bloody hell, no, I haven't seen him in many training photos, actually. But I will come back to this. It's an interesting conversation. But Kris, again, Gerst is confirming that they want £10 million. This is for Carvalho, obviously. And Liverpool are desperate to avoid a tribunal. Even though a lot of people are saying that the precedent was set with the whole Harvey Elliott thing, Fulham would struggle to get much more than what we're offering. I think a lot of people are saying. Ter says, and thank you everybody who is in the chat. If you're not subscribed already, please make sure that you do subscribe. We've got lots of great content, not just transfer news, but everything related to Liverpool. And this has been interesting. I know that if you look at Twitter and see it for what it is, you see a lot of people flip-flapping with, how successful this window's been, etc., etc. Obviously, FSG got a lot of good credit for signing off on the Diaz deal. To what extent does this kind of ruin it all if we get to 11 p.m. tonight and there is no deal? Drew, how are you feeling after the Diaz transfer compared to how would you feel if this deal doesn't go through?
Considering that I was not expecting any transfer deals to go through, I am still happy. Give credit to FSG where it's due. They got in a really good transfer at a really good price, and they're already, you can see the signs towards building for the future with Jota and Diaz in now. And then you have the likes of Harvey Elliott in the squad, Curtis Jones, Trent, who's going to be there a long time, Kanate. They're making the moves, and we have to respect that they're making the moves. With Carvalho, that might be like the cherry on top of the cake, but we've already got a pretty solid base going, and I don't think we'd be, up a creek without a paddle if we didn't get him. So I'm confident and comfortable with the buys that we've made, and we'll see. This will just be an extra added bonus if we can get this done.
Owen, if we don't get him, do you think that's it for Carvalho? Do you think we go back in for him in the summer?
It's a hard one, isn't it? I think it's a lot harder in the summer because you've got teams like Dortmund coming in who are going to be willing to pay higher wages for him. And that's going to be hard for him to turn down. I think kind of in a way, I think with Carvalho, I see an exact kind of scenario with Jude Bellingham in him, to be honest with you. I see kind of a player who is making his name for himself in the Championship, doing really well, but he needs to go to a top club and kind of establish himself as that top talent. But look, who knows if it gets done tonight? I think if it does get done, then it's absolutely fantastic business. But I think already getting Luis Diaz in is just fantastic. And yeah, I think we have to give FSG credit, as you said, because kind of I've been critical of them in the past in terms of they haven't invested in the squad well at times, and that's the part that I've had problems with. But I think this was a deal for the summer, and they've brought it forward because Tottenham are going to get him, and I have to give them respect there because they could have just said, "Oh well, it's for the summer." No, they said, "No, Klopp wants him. We're going to go for him," and I really admire them for that for sure.
And James, with the speculation that Fulham are holding out for £10 million, we've spoken about Fulham. Kind of like, are they just milking it, holding on? And I get your point. Like, you wouldn't want to lose your best prospect for £5 million. So, sort of looking at it from their perspective, are we not just being really cheap by, not giving him an extra £5 million?
In theory, but I believe that they haven't paid us for the Harry Wilson transfer yet. So there may be bigger things at play when you start to look at how the economics of the football club are running and what they've done with themselves. Because we might say, okay, well, we'll pay you $5 million for this, but because you owe us $5 million or $10 million or this, we're just not going to pay you anything. And their accounts might have been built in such a way this year that they actually can't afford not to receive anything. But if we were to pay them and then they pay us, then that's money, that's unethical monetary practice. So I think they might want 10 million because that way we can pay them something because their second payment will be due at a different time. When you look at it from an economical point of view, which is really complicated if they're doing a deal with us. If they were doing a deal with somebody else, it might be slightly different. So there is a real risk probably for Fulham because they're trying to get promoted this year. They've probably put more money in the pot than they should have done. And if they don't get promoted, could be subject to sanctions and issues and things going from the Premier League. So I think they're trying to balance a whole raft of financial regulations and bits and pieces, and especially with us and the Harry Wilson part of it. So I think it's just a line that they're trying to hold. But I also feel it feels better, doesn't it? You've got double digits for your prospect, then you have 5 million. But yeah, I think the economics of it are slightly making the deal slightly harder between Liverpool and Fulham, which isn't uncommon because there's probably deals with every Premier League club that we've done or international club where they're still paying us. We probably still don't have the money from the Coutinho transfer with Barcelona. I know that was going on for years, but it's a worthy consideration for me.
So with staying with you, the rumours that Nico Williams is potentially may become a part of that deal. How much does that influence it, from your standpoint in terms of the economics of it, I suppose?
Well, you can write off a loan fee then, can't you? And you can pay a proportion of the wages. So we could pay Nico Williams wages because you can do that with loans. You could say it'd be a £2 million loan fee and they don't actually have to pay you for it. So you can play with economics from that perspective as well. It's a lot easier to say, okay, well, our loan fee is this. There's a bonus if you get promoted and blah, 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 blah. You're a bit like what Man U were doing to Newcastle, saying, well, if you stay up, you're going to pay us this amount of money. So you can be really clever with the economics of a loan, whereas a transfer is a write-off and a write-off. So I think there is a very good chance that the Nico Williams deal is, yes, Fulham would be happy. I think he will be a great service to Mitrovic. But I also think it will help economically for them to keep the books balanced because we probably will pay his wage. We probably will write off the loan fee and they will feel like they're getting a lot more out of this Carvalho deal than I think anyone will ever see.
I don't know if either of you are experts in Fulham or know their players. I'm just having a quick look at their squad now in their right-back department. They've got Steven Sessegnon, the brother of Ryan Sessegnon, I believe, who's still there. They've got Dennis Adoy and they've got Kenny Tete, who's picked up an injury. So a position that they are, by the looks of things, maybe in need of just that extra bit of quality, I suppose. They need to get promoted this season. So, how worth it? It's an interesting dilemma for Fulham, and we've got to take that into consideration. Drew, how worth it for them would it be to cash in now? Bearing in mind that they're probably going to keep him for the rest of the season as well.
Yeah, I think James hit the nail on the head with the financial aspects of the deal. But I think before he said too, if this is like your future of the club, are you willing to let him go that easily? And especially, as I said before, if you can wait it out, get promotion, and make him an attractive offer. Liverpool kind of has, bird in the hand rather than the bush kind of analogy to it. But I guess it really comes down to finances, how much, they really need the money coming in. Can they wait it out? Because I think, Owen was saying too, like if you're willing to, bet the future of your club, on £5 million, it doesn't really seem that worth it. So I think Liverpool are trying to make the deal as attractive as possible with, like a loan move for Nico Williams. But it's like, do they really need that? As you were looking at their lineup there, to have 2-3 right backs, and if their position at the table seems like they're getting the job done. So, we're pretty much trying to make it as attractive as possible for him, making like, oh, he can stay for the rest of the season, but we're really not giving him anything other than $5 million at the end of the day. So I think that's what it comes down to. And at that point, it's all about finances.
Ayush, good to see you in the chat as well. Says that £10 million is a bit too much for a young kid with 6 months left on their contract. Now, I totally take into account what James has said about, the Harry Wilson stuff and the more complex economics. But Owen, come on, this is Liverpool Football Club, surely. I mean, £10 million in today's market doesn't feel like that much, does it?
Yeah, well, I think if we're going to offer him 10 mil, then we can't loan him there. I think you just can't. It's very cheeky of them to say, oh, yeah, we want 10 mil and we want him for the rest of the season. You either take the 5 for the rest of the season or just 10 and we have him now. I think that's the way it should be. But can I just say as well, with Fabio Carvalho, I think there's a few points that I kind of want to make about him in the squad and where he'd fit in, because I see Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott as very similar players. I see them as extremely similar in terms of what role they would bring. In terms of Curtis Jones, you'd expect him to be in the midfield. So Harvey Elliott, so far this season. So would Carvalho kind of be on the wing? Because in the middle, those two players are kind of going to take his place at the minute. So he'd have to be fighting against that. You've got Cade Gordon as well. So I'm kind of just a bit puzzled, really, as to where he's going to come in. At the end of the day, if he's going to be a world-class talent and we're going to make a profit on him and loan him out, then I have no problem with that whatsoever. You see what Chelsea are doing so far this season with Conor Gallagher, for example, whether we did the same with Carvalho, loaned him out to a Premier League team for a season, then even get 30-40 million for him. So I think it's definitely a good buy, but where does he fit into our current team, really, when kind of we don't really play number 10, where he's played for Fulham this season, kind of since Coutinho's left, we've seen that. So we kind of Klopp would have to mould him into this kind of new role, I think.
It's an interesting thought, and I'll definitely come back to what you said about like exactly where he could fit in. But it's a good point. Do we actually need him this season, James? Surely when we've got everybody back, Harvey Elliott's back, Thiago should be back after this break as well, and then Curtis Jones coming back from his eye injury, which was all very bizarre. Is there really a place for Carvalho? Is it that necessary that we bring him in now?
There's a place for anybody, because at times you want to change things up and do things that no one can predict. But I think the question for me becomes, do you want the guy to get the hunger for winning things by getting promoted with Fulham? Or do you want him to spend 6 months with an ultimate professional like James Milner, who may be about to leave? Regardless of his game time, because Klopp is not renowned for putting people straight into the fire. He's renowned for making them train for a decent amount of time and integrating them in correctly. What's better for him and what's better for Klopp? I think getting that fire in your belly and winning something and gaining a promotion, I think would give him more, because he would feel he's responsible and what he's contributed and how he's got involved, than spending 6 months training. I think even if he came in the summer, he would still spend 6 months training before he cracked in the first team. He might get the odd game here and there, but we're talking proper integration, learning the press, learning the traps, learning how it all works before he actually gets a decent run. So even if we signed him now, I don't think we'd see him until the middle of next season or second half of the season if he comes in the summer.
And just going back to, bear with me one moment. Sorry, whilst I just get my thoughts back together, just going back into the comments, we've got a lot of action going on
Connection
there. And
interrupted, Louis.
There's plenty of people in the chat as well. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. If you haven't subscribed already, please make sure that you do and like this video. It really helps us out. We'll be here, well, technically until the window closes at 11, but potentially longer if this Carvalho deal gets extended. But that will be on a separate stream starting at 10 o'clock, so make sure you stay around for that. Hyla says that international/English journalists cannot get enough of the Aubameyang deal. Arsenal will not recover from this ever. I know we're the LFC transfer room, but I feel like we do need to just briefly go over this. I mean, Drew, I saw your beautiful smile come out there. It's a crazy drama going on. I mean, it's a strange one for Barcelona, I feel like, but very, very bizarre stuff going on at Arsenal.
Yeah, I think it just shows like the utter shambles that's been Arsenal's transfer policies over the years. Like Ozil was an absolute joke, 350,000 a week. You know, he didn't play for the last, what was it, like 8 months of his contract. Same thing with Aubameyang. They keep letting players go for free. They let their best players go. Their captaincy situation is in utter shambles. It's just I have a lot of Arsenal mates, so I love to see, and they give me a lot of crap whenever we play, which I don't see where they get that from. But it's just for me more than anything. I think that their club really needs a complete restructure and someone to come in and get it straight, because right now it's like what Aubameyang had 18 months on his contract. Wasn't 6 months, wasn't a year, it was 18 months. And they're just like, yeah, we're letting you go for free. And I think Arteta's trying to get a hold of the reins and like cut out the nonsense.
Feels like he's trying too hard almost, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like you look like a fool. The club looks like a fool for letting this happen. Barca, well, if they sign him on for probably a lot less wages than he was for Arsenal and get him on a free, and if he comes in and starts banging the goals in, it's like, which will most likely happen. It's
speaking of poor transfer structures. I mean, Barcelona, they're jumping all over the place with
playing
transfers
FIFA
at the moment. It's
genuinely
unbelievable.
they're playing FIFA. They're finding people with the fastest
three.
pace and just bringing them in and going, "Oh, look how good we're going to be."
But they've almost got the front three of Middlesbrough from a few years ago. They've got Braithwaite, Adama Traore. They're just short of an Asumbalonga, and then they've got it. They've got the trio. It's unbelievable. But they've Adama Traore and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in the same transfer window. I mean, I can't complain. If that was Liverpool, I'd be like mortified and ecstatic at the same time, because as you say, that is FIFA type signings, quite unbelievable. Just heading into obviously an hour and 15 minutes left now, and we will look to wrap up shortly because obviously we've got the 10 o'clock hour countdown with Jack to come as well. I just want to kind of reminisce about the situation that we find ourselves in at the moment. An hour and a bit till the transfer window closes, and Liverpool in January could still sign someone. I mean, I don't remember that happening. There was Nabil Fekir wasn't on transfer deadline day. Do you remember when we tried to sign Yarmolenko? When he went to West Ham a season or two later, but we came close to signing him. And I remember sitting up all night watching Vinny O'Connor stand outside Liverpool's training ground. The lights were off behind him because everyone had gone home, but I was still sat there like, no, he's going to turn up at some point, and he never did. I mean, it's a crazy world that we're living in now. Liverpool doing dealings on transfer deadline day. I suppose a big part of it is that you can maybe squeeze a club into accepting a lower offer, but is it strange to anybody else that we've left it all to the last minute when we could have tried to wrap these things up a bit earlier?
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, Owen.
Well, sorry, mate. Yeah. I think it is strange, but at the end of the day, you just said it there. Teams are going to want to take the money and run for certain players, teams are going to have financial problems, and when that happens, it speaks for themselves, and the kind of teams panic. And but I think overall, it's been probably the best January transfer window I can remember in ages. Like the amount of crazy stuff happening. We just mentioned there, Aubameyang, and Ramsey to Rangers as well. Like, what is that?
Yep,
that's
gone over the line.
Christian Eriksen to Brentford.
Yeah.
Cracker.
Tottenham have been doing a few interesting outgoings and ingoings as well. They've gotten rid of so many midfielders. Eves all the way from Jamaica. Great to see you. Says, I believe Coutinho was the last use of a true number 10 under Klopp. Great program, by the way. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. So yeah, I will circle back to your point, Owen, and I'll ask Drew, if Carvalho comes in, and whether that's this season or next season, what is his role? Would he be moulded into a half winger? Would he be in that right-sided 8 role where Henderson tends to play relatively unsuccessfully this season, or would he fill out on the left side? Because obviously we don't play a number 10.
I'm curious myself because he can fill a number of roles, but I'm sure it'll be up to Klopp, and I'm sure Klopp will give him opportunities in each of those to see, what he fits best. Because I think, Klopp's okay. Harvey Elliott, for example, I think everyone thought he was going to be on the wing, and as the season starts this year, he starts playing in center midfield, and was absolutely bossing it. So I think if Carvalho can come in and show Klopp what he's all about in training, he'll try to segue him into the team, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Sorry, Jack just came into the stream. I thought he was going to come on and
the private chat.
I thought he was going to have like a little segue in this video, but he just came in, wrote "sexy bunch," and then left again. Great. But make sure you do all stick around for the 10 o'clock show. It's going to be a great one, obviously. I'm hoping all 3 of you watched Chris's video on Liverpool's move to somewhat of a asymmetrical 4-2-3-1. I hope some of you have watched that, maybe. But he made a lot of interesting points there, how our 3 midfielders play different roles. So the 2-8s don't just operate as 2-8s. The right-sided 8, so where Henderson has been playing, but where we saw Harvey Elliott a lot as well in the early parts, does play slightly higher, and they in turn become like a right-sided number 10. It's interesting that I feel like that's where maybe Carvalho would come into play, unless he's going to be a winger. But we've got Harvey Elliott there, we've got Jordan Henderson there. Does one of them must lose out on this deal if it goes through, surely? Because I get Carvalho's for the future, but he's not that far away from troubling our first team, surely, James?
Well, no, he's probably not. But we also have to look at it from an evolutionary point of view. What his role will probably be in his first season will be what Milner's is. He'll learn the thing. He'll get a decent amount of games, but he won't be playing all the time. Another year on, Henderson probably takes a step back into that Milner role. Harvey Elliott takes over, and then Carvalho probably take over again. It's evolution as people's careers hit peaks at different points. So whilst I feel, yes, he would need some time to bed into the Liverpool style of play, I also think Klopp's got a style of play in mind for when this happens. I think there's a change in how we're playing. I think he wants to do something more with Harvey Elliott. I think a lot more play is going to go through that type Harvey Elliott 10 role. But that's just a hunch. I have nothing to back that up whatsoever, apart from thinking Harvey Elliott is someone that Klopp really wants to build a team around. But I don't think he'll activate it until Salah's term is over, which is fine because Elliott's going to be here for a long time and he doesn't want to leave. He's made that very clear.
So I think I might have found some of Chris's sources on Twitter, but people saying that we are submitting a deal sheet in advance, which would get us a 2-hour extension. Jesus Christ! So someone here is going to be staying up until 1 a.m, and I'm
I've got Paul Joyce. I've got Paul Joyce just now.
No, are we going to break it?
Here we go.
Are we going to break it?
There we
Liverpool
go.
have reached an agreement on fee for Fulham Fabio Carvalho with a race to get the medical and personal terms done by 11. Not looking for an extension, but looking to get it all done. And
There we
then
go.
there's just a series of gifts underneath that tweet. But it looks like
well,
Big Jack Edwards has got a big role.
It's not as official as I'd like it to be, but I don't get why you wouldn't. If we've got until 1, then it's done, isn't it? Well, all right. Well,
Paul Joyce is a top tier source, though, isn't he? He's top tier LFC transfer.
Was he not verified?
Oh, Kris has come back now. Kris has come back. What did I tell you? He knew all along.
There you go.
It was a 50-50 and he managed to get it right. Ammon Khan's excited. Hyler's ready. Michael says, you'll think he's right, but he plays more on the left. Oh, that's about Carvalho. Well, we'll see, won't we? I'm sure Klopp will mould him into his own thing. Joyce at the back post. Tap in. There's lots of tap in merchants at the moment. We will be one as soon as our Twitter comes back. I want to see Luis Diaz confirmed and Carvalho confirmed 3 days after the transfer window's passed. I want to see it. But we'll end it there. We've got about 10 minutes to go until Jack is on. So if you're watching now, stay around on the LFC transfer room. That video should be ready and waiting. So just move over to there, wait there. Jack and a couple of others will be ready and waiting for you, ready to go at 10 a.m. for the last hour. Thank you very much to Drew, James, and Owen, and to everybody who's been watching this. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. This has been the LFC Transfer Room, taking you now into the final hour of the January transfer window. Stay tuned, and we'll see you very shortly. Thank you very much.